Distance room setting, part 2. In time section, first the injection time before the fault is entered in prefault time in cases where the PTs draw inrush current. By checking ramp in prefault option, it is possible to increase voltage in prefault in form of a ramp, preventing the test from stopping because of the drawn inrush current. In maximum fault time, the maximum fault injection time is specified in form of absolute or relative, which itself consists of 3 parts. Note that if in a short point the maximum fault time is shorter than maximum allowed trip time, the result of the evaluation will be wrong. If you are using the maximum fault time absolute field, you need to enter a time in seconds for the maximum fault injection time. But to increase the test speed, you can use maximum fault time relative option. By checking this option, 3 other options appear. By entering a number in add percentage of tnum, the fault injection time in every point equals the test point nominal time plus percentage of the nominal time entered in this field. This means that if the test point nominal time is 10 seconds and 5% is entered in this field, the maximum fault injection time equals 105% of the test nominal time, which is 10.5 seconds. But in add absolute field, the fault injection time is entered as the sum of the test point nominal trip time plus the time entered in this field. If time is entered in these 3 fields, the software picks the highest value. For points that are in no trip zone, it is possible to enter a separate time in no trip time field. In post-fault time, the injection time after the fault is entered. Delay after trigger is used to enter the key trigger time. By right-clicking on the related field and selecting Go to Linked Value, you can see that it is linked to CB trip time, and if necessary, you can replace it with your desired value by selecting Remove Link. In time reference, by selecting Fault Inception, the trip time is calculated from when the fault is injected, but by selecting Starting, the trip is calculated from when the pickup contact is received from the relay. In Load Current section, you can specify the settings for the phase and current related to prefault. In Amplitude section, by selecting Based on Current radio button, the prefault current is entered in terms of ampere, which is the same for all test points. But by selecting Based on iFault, the prefault current is entered according to the fault current, which is different for every shot point. In Phase section, by selecting Based on Degree radio button, the current angle in prefault is entered, which is the same for all shot point. But by selecting Same as Fault Angle radio button, the prefault current angle is the same as the fault current angle, which is different for every shot point. In Search Settings section, the settings related to search test are specified. As mentioned before, a search test arrives at a conclusion only if one of the 3 conditions of this section is met. The first condition is relative, which means that if the difference between the test point value and the previous point is less than the percentage specified in this field, this very point is the result of the test. The second condition is absolute, which means that if the difference between the test point and the previous point is less than the value specified in this field, this very point is the result of the test. The third condition is maximum point number, which means that the test is to be performed as many times as the number of points entered in this field at maximum, and the last point is the result of the test. But if for any reason the nominal characteristic determined for the relay is not available, you can use Ignore Nominal Characteristic section. By doing so, the software ignores the existing characteristic. Then, based on the step entered in search interval, it adds shots on the search line. For example, a line is drawn in search test section. Then, 200 milliohm is entered as the value for search interval and apply to all is selected. You can see that some points with the same step are added on the search line. By running the test, you can see that the test starts from the lowest point, and once one of the 3 mentioned conditions is met, the test comes to a result. Also, if necessary, you can ignore this option by selecting Disable All. In Other Settings section, by selecting Extended Zone Active, if Extended Zone is specified for the relay in Zone Settings section in Test Object window of Distance block, this zone is displayed in green color in Impedance View window, and it is possible to evaluate the relay performance in Extended Zone mode. Behavior of an extensive zone is the same as normal trip zone. Note that normally extensive zones are active for a short period of time. They are activated by one of the binary inputs. If one of the binary outputs of the device is determined in hardware configuration setting as extended zones active activator, this output can be stimulated as a relay blade. You can see that by checking extended zone active option, the extended zone active blade is closed in binary output tab. By selecting shot past only act in main zone option, only if the performance time of the relay in the shot point is located in the allowed range of the main zone, the test passes. For example, if this option is checked and a shot is added to tolerance of zone 2, the test passes if the relay operates only in the time of zone 2, which is 95 milliseconds to 150 milliseconds. Otherwise, with any other performances by the relay, the test fails. But if this option is not checked, the allowed performance time of the relay is 95 milliseconds to no trip, and if the relay does not give a trip in this point, the test passes. Test passed only act in zones option is used for search, check, and shot tests. By checking this option, the test passes when the relay performance in the tolerances is the only time of one of the two zones. For example, if this option is checked and a shot is added to zone 1 and 2 tolerance area, if the relay operates in 28.5 to 80 milliseconds or 95 to 150 milliseconds, the test passes. Otherwise, the test fails. This can also be done for check and search tests. By checking pass if get any trip option in pass settings section, regardless of the relay performance time, if the relay operates in tripping zone, the test passes. In Trigger tab, you can specify the desired binary to receive the pickup and trip signals of the relay as well as stopping the current injection. The settings and explanation of this section are exactly the same as mentioned for Trigger Room and Sequencer. In Binary Output tab, if it is necessary for the relay to view the conditions of the key, it is possible to take any needed voltage to the binary input, though binary output of the device by voltages of B or auxiliary DC groups. This tab has 3 modes of pre-fault, fault, and post-fault, and it's possible to manage each of them separately.